Hey there, weavers. I had this set up as a uh, live stream that was scheduled, but I evidently am still learning the YouTube live stream um, software. So hopefully you're not all waiting over in the live stream that was scheduled because I couldn't get it to stream. Anyways, I'm here. I'm Grace with Tangled Webs Weaving, and tonight I wanted to discuss shuttles. So I have several shuttles here that I have, and a couple more over here that we can go through. And the first is the basic stick shuttle. This is the most basic shuttle that you can own, and it will work no matter what you're weaving. This typically has the two indentations at the end, and the way that you wind this shuttle is I like to make a slip knot in the end, and you can just slip that over. And then this is wound in a figure 8. So you come down and around the end, and then come up and loop it back from the back to the front, around to the back again, and the front, the back, and the front, back, front. And then when you fill up, get a fair amount on this side, then you can just flip it over and do the other side the same exact way. There you go. And then just keep doing that. And I like to wind, I don't know, 15 or 20 repeats before I flip it, and then wind the other side. So there's the stick shuttle. Now, when you use this shuttle, you'll pass it through your warp by hand, and you'll kind of unwind this before you pass it through the shed, and then it gets out the other side, and you beat your shed, and then unwind some more and feed it through again. Easy peasy. It's a little slow for weaving. It's great for short warps, and if you have a rigid huddle loom, this is perfect. If you're doing a lot, that maybe isn't the best shuttle to use. All right, so the next one that we'll talk about is this. This is a rag shuttle, technically. This is also set up to be able to use it as a double bobbin shuttle. So this rod right here pulls out, and you can put a couple bobbins in it. So say you are weaving two things. So you're weaving something that you need to double the thread in. It's challenging to wind two threads onto one bobbin. So if you wind each thread onto a separate bobbin and then use a double bobbin shuttle like this, that can go in there, then they can unwind at their own amount, at their own leisure, and each thread can come out here. And that way, because if you wind them together on the same bobbin, when they start unwinding, they will tend to unwind at a different rate. It's just the nature of the beast. You can't wind it perfectly even tension. So back to this. So the rag shuttle without this rod in it is used to make rag rugs. Typically, what you would do is you would have your rag that is an inch, inch and a half wide, and you would wrap it around here, and then it would go through your shed this way. Some people kind of think of it as going through this way, but that is not correct. It goes flat. Okay. This is a small version of the rag shuttle. And what I use the rag shuttles for a lot of time is for heavier yarns in making rugs. I made a rug using 8/16 cotton, which is pretty hefty stuff. I have some right here. So that's pretty hefty. And winding that on a bobbin, you wouldn't get a whole lot on a bobbin. The actual rug that I made with this was you combined 8 of these and then you twisted it, and it made I think it was called a shaker's rug. So it made a pattern of the 8 different colors of this warp, and then you wound that together, and then when you twisted it in the warp, it looked like a movement. But anyways, these shuttles were invaluable for that type of, so if you're using a heavy type of yarn, a bulky yarn, this would be the key. Okay, so another one to use if you're using bulky yarn is a ski shuttle. This is the only ski shuttle I have. And it's not quite as dramatic as a lot of the ski shuttles. Some of the ski shuttles have they look like a ski on either side. And they go through the shed this way. And so having that little lip curling up makes it go through the shed a little bit easier. These, like the rag shuttle, are just wound on straight. You don't crisscross it or anything like that. So they hold quite a bit of yarn. So the next shuttle is the boat shuttle. This is the shuttle that most people are probably familiar with. And this is a closed bottom boat shuttle. And it's a fairly low profile, but not terribly low. And these shuttles use a bobbin that looks like this. Other bobbins, I've got several different types of boat shuttles. They're all closed bottom boat shuttles. I prefer those. An open bottom boat shuttle could be used also, but it would have a cutout here. And a lot of people prefer those so that they can use their finger to control the bobbin coming off or rotating in here and stop it so that it doesn't kind of keep unrolling. So this is a smaller version. goes in a smaller shuttle or boat shuttle. But you notice the ears are inset on this one as opposed to the ears being even with the end. So this is I think this is a 15, 13, I can't remember, long bobbin. And that is, or shuttle, that's measured from tip to tip. The bobbin that it takes is measured inside here. It's measured from the inside of each shoulder. So I believe this is a 5.5-inch bobbin. This is probably a 3.5-inch bobbin. And when you wind these bobbins, it's important that you keep even tension on them, and you wind them kind of methodically. So I've got I think I've got a bobbin here set up to wind. And so I can kind of show you. I use an electric drill to wind my bobbins. And my husband has kindly made up a few shafts for me to wind onto. Let's see here. So let's say I want to wind this yarn onto this bobbin. So I'm going to take it, and at the end, either end, it doesn't matter which one you start at, you're going to wind it around a few times and kind of snug it down. Then start your winding, and I'll get in a little closer here. So I'm going to keep the yarn close to each previous row. And it's hard to do this when you're filming too. Hi, Karita. Thanks. Yeah, the double spool rag shuttle, it's kind of a 2-in-1 thing. So that is really interesting to see. So keep this steady, and then just keep going back and forth and try and keep even tension on it. And I'm going kind of slow here because I am filming it. So we'll wind this back and forth until we get probably 3/4 of the way up the shoulder. Now, when I get to that 3/4 point, so let's simulate that. So if I get to 3/4 or 80%, I am not going to go beyond that. I'm not going to pack this bobbin. My experience has been that if you pack this bobbin, that it will fall off the shoulder, and then you'll end up with a tangle. You'll have to cut the thread and figure out how to keep the bobbin from, or the yarn from, tangling when you're weaving. And nobody wants to fuss with their yarn when they're weaving. So once you get to that point, you can fill this in a little bit more, but I really wouldn't pack it too much. It's just not worth it. You're going to get a little more capacity out of it, but it's just not that much. So that's my experience. So we'll go ahead and put that one off to the side. Now, those are bobbins that you can buy at the store or at the yarn store on yarns.com. But what if I ran out of bobbins? I need 7 bobbins for the project that I have worked here. Let's say I only have 4 bobbins available to me. Well, you can make your own bobbins. So what you can do, let's see if I have a shuttle here. Well, let's take this one. So I'm going to take my bobbin and I'm going to cut a circle out that is, actually, I did it for a short one. Okay, so these were the first boat bobbins or boat shuttles that I purchased. They're $20. They're plastic. They have been great. I love my wood bobbins, but if I need a bobbin really quick or a shuttle really quick, these are great to have around. So I've taken this circle of paper and I just cut it out of scrap paper. It is the same width as the opening in my bobbin or in my shuttle here. Hi, Sandra. Yeah, I do pack the bobbins sometimes a little more than I probably should. But yeah, staying away from the ends is really important. So what I'm going to do, this is called a quill. And if you take, so this is what I use to wind in my drill. And I'm going to take the circle of paper and I'm just going to wrap it around my rod that I wind onto. Okay. So then, if you take this and you put your tail in this last little wrap and then continue to wrap it, kind of wrap it down towards the end here, and we're going to make a bobbin out of this. So I take my drill, there we go. All right. And sometimes these are a little challenging because they're paper and you have to kind of make it so the paper won't spin on the drill rod. And I can't get it to do it. So let's go. And if you wind it tightly, it will grip. See if I can get it to do it. All right, so we're gonna have to try this one more time. All right, so wind it tightly around that rod. Okay, let's see if I've got it now. There we go. Okay, so the key here is to build up So on our regular bobbins, we had the two shoulders. This doesn't have a shoulder, so we're going to make a shoulder. Okay, now we're going to make a shoulder over here. You want the shoulders to be about the width of what your bobbin will accept. Okay, I've got the two shoulders. Now I'm going to fill in the middle. There. Okay, now we'll go ahead and cut that off. Now, because I have this on this rod, I have to be careful when I pull it off the rod that I don't pull that paper out. And I've got some that I kind of ran off the edge. So just kind of keep it. This is all thread from the hardware store. So it's threaded. And so if I just unthread it basically from that paper quill, it works. So all right, now I can take my bobbin and I can thread it through the paper quill. And I probably pushed my luck on how long I made it, but I made it a little too long. But this is basically how it works. Now, one thing that I did not point out is when you put your bobbin in your shuttle, you want to put it in so that the thread comes from the underside and comes out through this slot. If you come over from the top, it doesn't flow as easily. So, word to the wise. Okay, so the next bobbin that I have is a end feed shuttle. The next shuttle that I have is an end feed shuttle. These are very expensive, and I only have one. My husband got it for me for Christmas one year. And these are great to use. They make great salvages because they have a little clamp here that the yarn goes through that provides even tension when it unfurls. So you throw this through the shed and it pulls off, and it pulls at an even tension. Once it stops, the thread will not unfurl anymore. With a boat shuttle, it can. So the boat shuttle, that bobbin can sit in there and it can freewheel and maybe let a little more thread out than what you're wanting. So with an end feed shuttle, these feed out very precisely. However, you need to wind the pern, which is the equivalent of a bobbin. You need to wind that very specifically. So with a pern, it looks like this. This is called the butt end, and this is the point end, I guess. So you wind the thread on from the butt end, and you'll wind about an inch at a time. Well, you'll wind the first inch, and then you'll kind of gradually wind more and more on, keeping the thickness of your pern the same. So I have one. Oh, okay. So this one has been wound. And if you watch it, you can see how it unfurls. And then so I'm only unfurling this small amount. So they are wound very specifically. And I can demonstrate that also. And what I will do is put that in there, and we will wind onto this. So to wind onto the pern, because it doesn't have it does have a hole in the end here, but with my drill bit, or with my drill, I use a rod with some tape on it to make it about the right thickness, and it's able to hold it there very easily. And it's kind of important that you wind a pern in the same direction every time, because as the pern unfurls, it doesn't roll off like this. It rolls off like the top of a cone. And if you're going to do that, you're either going to be introducing twist or removing twist. So if you wind it in what I call a counterclockwise direction, and it depends on which way you're looking, if you're looking at this end or the butt end, but it's the way I always wind it. So if I'm holding the drill this way, it's always coming over the top from behind. So the yarn is originating from behind, and then it's going over the top. And I found that will introduce a little bit of twist into what I'm weaving, rather than removing twist, which can be a problem. So let's see if I can get a good picture of this, or a good video of this. So we're going to start winding on. We're only going to wind on the first inch or so, and then we're going to start moving down. So you'll see I'm not going all the way back. I'm stopping about a 1/4 inch from the butt end, and I'm extending down here a 1/4 inch or so. The key is to not build up a shoulder here. This should always be tapered. And I do have a detailed video on my channel of winding a pern. So if you want to see more about that, you can go and watch that video too. But I don't want to take up a whole lot of time in winding a pern. Let's see. So the last one I have, and this is a fly shuttle. It is an end feed shuttle. You can see that here's the end feed, here's the pern, and let's see if I can get a little more light on that. There we go. So you can tell this is a fly shuttle because it has metal tips. And what this does is there's a box at either end of the loom, and it's a fly box. And these shuttles, they sit in that box, and then either a spring or hydraulics or air or something of that nature. When you pull a cord or push a button, it releases a piston that will shoot this shuttle across your warp. And it's used for production weaving typically. Most home weavers don't use these. I have used these just throwing them, not as a fly shuttle, just throwing them by hand. They're very heavy. But I needed a shuttle and I didn't have enough shuttles. I was doing a project that required several shuttles, and this was before I had more shuttles. I had gotten these through an estate sale, and I thought they were cool looking. They work. They're great shuttles, but they are very heavy. And my husband hates when I do use them because they, if they hit the floor, they will dent. And if you drop it, they will dent the floor. If you drop it on your foot, it will most likely break your skin because these metal tips are very, very sharp. And they're very heavy. They're kind of tedious to use because they are heavy. But if you're using, or if you're trying to throw a shuttle across a long warp, you kind of want something that's a little bit heavier to kind of have that momentum to get across the warp. So this is a 56-inch loom. I can throw a lightweight shuttle pretty easily across it, but anything more than that, and you want something with a little more heft to it. So these are really mostly just for they're antiques. They look really cool. So that's why I have them around. I do want to go back to the end feed shuttle because I noticed this little tool up there and I forgot about it. So the end feed shuttle has a couple adjustments. So the pern, you can pull it up and pull it off of here. And this rod right here will dictate the levelness, the horizontal levelness of the pern within the shuttle. This is adjusted with a Allen head screw on the bottom, and I'll go ahead and put that back in so that you can see what happens. So right now, and this is open bottom and open top, so you can see both ends. So if you watch, if I loosen this, you can see that it will make it so that the pern drops down too far. So if I tighten it, it will pull that pern back up into a state where it's neither too high nor too low. There's also the tensioning device right here that the yarn goes through. So your yarn comes through there. There we go. So the yarn comes through here off the end of the pern and through this little tensioning device right here. And this can be adjusted for the thickness of your yarn. This is 2/8 cotton, so I have it pretty tight. But if I were going to use, say, I don't know, a 4/8 cotton, I would want to loosen this a little bit, and you do that on either side. There's a couple little Allen screws here. So you would just put your little Allen wrench in there and you would loosen those. And it would make it so there's not as much tension on the thread as it's coming out. So if you are weaving along and you notice that there's little loops being left at your selvages, then you should probably adjust the tension of that a little bit tighter. If you notice that you're getting some extra draw in, maybe your tension is a little too tight, so maybe loosen it up a little bit. Okay, so the last couple, and what did I do with that? I had an extra little shuttle here and I've lost it now. So one of the other shuttles is, it's not really a shuttle, it's well, maybe it is. It's called a belt shuttle. And it's typically used for either tapestry or mostly for, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. For ankle weaving. So it is let's see if I can find it here. It's here somewhere. I found it and now I can't seem to find it. So the one I have is very short. It's for ankle weaving and the work goes around it. The difference is one side, it kind of looks like a small stick shuttle. So it's about this long. And if you notice, the stick shuttle is kind of rounded a little bit on each edge. With the belt shuttle, one of the edges is tapered because you use that to beat the warp into place. The other, and if I find it here somewhere, I will show it to you. This is a bobbin, and it is a tapestry bobbin. And what you can do is you wind a small amount of yarn around this. It's got a pointed end on this side, and you can use this to pick up your warp threads when you're weaving a tapestry and then pull it through and then beat it into place. It's got a little ball on the end of it so that when you're not using it, you can just kind of twist the yarn around, loop it over there, and it will hang and not unfurl itself. So, Jennifer, I'm really glad that you're finding this helpful. And if you have any questions about any of the information that I'm providing, please do let me know. I'm glad to answer any questions that I can. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've learned a lot about all of this through just, weaving. Um, let's see. I think that that's all of the bobbin or the shuttles that I have. Let's see. What are some other types of shuttles? I know there is a rug shuttle that looks a lot like a stick shuttle, but it is this part here is extended and maybe just has a slit through it. And it's you wind the yarn around like you would on, say, the ski shuttle. So very similar, but maybe the bottom ski is not there. It's more of a stick shuttle. Oh, there is one other shuttle that I thought you guys might find interesting. It's a ribbon shuttle. And I bet that if you guys go to antique stores, you've seen one and you're like, I know this is weaving related, but I don't know what this is. So I wish I had a picture of it. I don't. They're kind of hard to find sometimes. But I did find a video of one being used on a production ribbon weaving loom. And so I'll post a link to that video in the description of this video, and you can take a look at that. They're kind of cool looking. I wish I had seen one at an antique store, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't know what it was, and I took a picture of it, posted it on the forum, and somebody said, oh yeah, that's a ribbon weaving shuttle. It kind of seems almost like it's an inkle weaving device because it makes ribbons. So anywhere from, I don't know, teeny tiny 1/4 inch wide ribbons to inch wide ribbons. But it's kind of a different looking shuttle. Has some gears in it, and it's just really cool looking. So that's the only other type of shuttle. I wish I'd have bought it when I saw it because I've never seen it again. We've been back to that antique store several times and I've never really seen it. But if I ever see one again, I'm definitely going to buy one because I want to have it for my collection. So if you guys don't have any questions that I can answer at this point, I guess we'll go ahead and end. And I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. This was my first scheduled live feed. And I had a little bit of a challenge in the beginning trying to figure out how to start the live feed from the scheduled ones. And I couldn't figure it out. So I'll have to research that and figure out how I was supposed to do that. But I'm glad you found me. If you enjoy watching my videos, please do consider subscribing to them. And if you have any questions or have ideas of stuff you want to see in the future, let me know. Just so you guys know, this is my current loom. And I can see there's a little bit of a glare. So let me see if I can turn the lights off on it. Yeah, that's a little better. This is a 1950s Bergman countermarch loom. It's a 12 shaft loom. And it's just, I got it last November and I just am so excited about it. I've had a jack loom before, and I've always wanted a countermarch loom. And this became available last November from someone here locally. Bergmans were a couple that she was from Sweden, and she designed these looms to be folding. This 56-inch loom, which is, it's about 60 inches wide, 46 inches deep, it will fold down to 19 inches deep. So I have my studio is, I think it's 8 feet by 9 feet. And that includes all of my yarn stash, my loom, my work table. So I have to make sure that I have good use of my space. And when I'm not using my loom, I can fold it down. It's about 19 inches deep, push it back against the wall, and use that space for a work table or to finish hemming towels or whatever I'm doing. So, but it's not often that it's not in use. So, um, anyways, I just thought I would share that with you guys. And if you have any questions or have ideas for stuff you want to see, let me know. Thanks. Happy weaving, and I will see you in a couple weeks, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.